Hello, hello, hello. Good evening and welcome back to the Chronicles of a Gooner, the Arsenal podcast brought to you by AMS Media. As ever, I'm your host, Harry Symeou, and we're back with the phone-in show. It's been a while. We haven't done one of these for ages, and that's no fault of anybody's but myself. I've been extremely busy with work, and of course, things have really changed now, haven't they, with the situation that's ongoing in the world. I'll be honest, some of you are asking me in the comments how I'm feeling. I'm not feeling 100%, but I'm not this pale. It's this bloody lighting. You know, you pay all this money for good lighting, and what does it do? It makes you look worse. So I'll have to move that next time. But it was too late. Already hit the live button. So here we go. We're going to be talking about pretty much anything tonight. Whatever you guys want to discuss, the forum is yours. Of course, we'll be talking Arsenal, and there's no doubt that we'll be talking about what's going on in the world at the moment as well. The coronavirus has not only struck down the UK, but it's struck down pretty much most of Europe. And of course, the world is really struggling to get this thing under control. And it's a horrible, horrible thing. And, you know, we can sit here and we can talk about how much we're missing football, because there's no doubt about it. We are all missing football. And I think if it was safe to play games of football at the moment, then there's no doubt we'd all like to see them, because sport often is a good relief, isn't it? It's a good distraction from all the bad things that are happening. I know that it's the way I unwind. It's the way I chill out. It's the way I, enjoy myself. And now to be in a position where that isn't the case and all this stuff is going on, it is difficult. It is challenging. And of course, the forum is yours tonight. So you can pick up the phone and give us a call. All you need to do if you want to get involved, it's simple. You need to simply head over to @Chronicles_AFC on Twitter, and you need to DM us your name and your telephone number if you're based here in the UK. If you are contacting us from abroad, we need your Skype address. That's how we're calling people abroad. So put your details down by all means. We'll be getting through as many of your calls as we possibly can within the time slot. And like I said, the forum is yours. So feel free to say whatever you wish, discuss whatever you wish, whether it's football related, non-football related tonight, or anything else. We're happy to have those conversations and look forward to what's no doubt going to be another wonderful show. Always enjoy doing these phone-ins. Always have. Unfortunately, I haven't had the time to do them of late, and I've been really disappointed in myself about that. But we're back now, and I promise you that they'll be coming on a far more regular basis. Right, let's head over to our first call. We're going to dial our first number. This is the first number on the list. Like I said, if you're interested, keep putting your names and numbers down. DM us at Chronicles_AFC. Good evening, mate. What's your name and where are you talking to us from?
My name's Ryan. I'm from London.
How you doing, Ryan? Welcome to the show, mate. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you.
Good, not too bad. How are you coping without sport, without football, and being isolated?
Yeah, it's a tough one, really. I think in terms of like most people just isolating at home, just kind of keeping as good a diet as possible, drinking loads of fluids. Obviously, trying to avoid going out as much as possible. Going out once a day, but like a run. I think it's important if people can obviously try and do some form of exercise. Otherwise, people just go insane if you're inside 24/7. And then in terms of sport, it's a bit tough. It's a lot of Netflix and watching old sport, really, watching old games. It's a bit crazy.
Absolutely. I know that's what I've been doing as well. And just a quick recommendation, actually, for anyone who's not seen it, that Diego Maradona documentary that aired on Channel 4 on Friday night, that is a sensational piece of work. So please do check that out, and it will easily pass a couple of hours there. Ryan, what are your feelings on the Arsenal at the moment? I know the break has come. I know it's nobody's fault, but it's come at a bit of a shit time for Arsenal, because I felt like we were gaining some momentum. What's your take on it?
Yeah, I think it was a bad time. I think we were gaining good momentum. You know, Arteta I've always even from the start, the performance was a lot better, but he kind of turned them draws into wins, and we went on a bit of a winning streak. And yeah, we just started to get some good momentum. So it's a bit of a shame. The only kind of benefit is, you know, we should have a few more players back from injury if they do continue the season. At some point, you know, we have Kieran Tierney back, and possibly even now Lucas Torreira, I guess, could be back fit. He was supposed to be out for 8 to 10 weeks, so depending on when they start the season, he might be back for the last bit. But yeah, it's a bit of an annoying time, and the only problem is, you know, especially Spurs, that they were going through a bit of a bad run, and I think when it starts again, they're going to have players back, Kane, Song. Absolutely. So it's a bit of annoying it's annoying, but obviously you got to put everyone's health first.
Absolutely, 100%. And as I said right at the top of the show, it is frustrating as football fans, as sport fans. But like you said, it's about the health of the people and the public safety. That is way more important. Even if it prevents one life being lost that doesn't need to be lost, it's far more important than football. Quick one, Ryan. In terms of the season, and the season was initially suspended, then the suspension was extended. We now believe that the suspension is up until the 30th of April at the earliest. That was the wording they used. Are you confident, though, that football will return in May? Because the way things are going, and with the news bulletins that we're getting every day, and the added measures that the government are putting in place, to me, it seems highly unlikely.
I don't think it will. I think that obviously they put in them short-term targets. Obviously, it was start of April, now it's end of April. I think it's more just to keep people's hopes up and just kind of give that, hope it comes back. But I can't see football coming back to at least June. And then looking at a lot of other sports as well, boxing and all them others, I follow quite a few sports, and I don't see any sport continue until at least start of June. But it could be even longer. I think if it does continue, I'm not a fan of being behind closed doors. Personally, I don't think that helps the sport. And it's any sport. It's all about the fans. You need the fans to create the atmosphere. So I don't think playing behind closed doors will help either. So I personally, not finishing, and I think if it got up until, if they couldn't finish the season by end of June, I would think about voiding it. I think they've got to consider that highly, because I think if you keep it running too long, I think players' contracts come end of June. That's why I think end of June should be the target. Then you get into transfer, and I just think that you're then starting to affect next season, and then you've got the Euros next summer. So I think they've got a few big decisions to make in the next few weeks.
Absolutely, and I think obviously they're adamant to play out the season, and I think in an ideal world that is the fairest way to do it, of course. But like you said, it's the knock-on effect that this is going to have, isn't it? And I wouldn't mind watching Liverpool not win the title after they've been waiting 30 years, come to within 2 weeks of it, and then obviously taken away. Not that I wish these circumstances on anybody, but
definitely not.
To see them, of course, not win it would be good. There's no doubt about that. On a more positive note, Mikel Arteta has come in. He's taken on the job. It was a very, very difficult job. I think every single Arsenal fan acknowledged that. What have you made of his tenure so far? Are you encouraged by what you've seen?
I think he's been brilliant. I think he has been very, very good. Obviously, you always give a new manager time. But I think I've been following your stuff for a while. Even Emery at the start, I was never a fan of Emery even from the start, even the first sort of, I know we went on that long unbeaten run, but I think there's a big difference with Arteta. He's getting the most out of this squad, especially defensively. We've always been good going forward, but I think he's getting the most out of this squad all round. So I think he's got to be given a lot of praise. I just hope he can, with his influence, I hope he can just tie down a few contracts. I've seen Martinelli come out recently. He's kind of said obviously a lot of glowing things about him. Obviously Aubameyang, all the players really, and even Touré, other players from other clubs that he's worked under. I think he's done brilliant. I think he's just needs to try and hold on to him long term.
Absolutely. Fingers crossed we can do the kind of business, when the transfer window eventually opens. We don't know when that's going to be, given everything that's going on, but we hope that we'll back him in the transfer market. Not necessarily that it needs to be mega money, but just to allow him to go and get the players that he wants and that he believes can enhance the squad. I think he will have known the restraints that he will be under when he took the job, and I think he'll be fully aware of that, and I think he'll be working hard behind the scenes to identify targets. Ryan, thank you so much for coming on, mate. Really, really appreciate it, and we hope to speak to you again soon.
No worries. Speak to you soon.
Cheers, mate. All the best.
Bye.
Brilliant first call of the night. That was Ryan Martin there. Obviously giving a glowing report of Mikel Arteta, and I think most people would at the moment. It's a shame that the break has come at the time it has, but as I keep saying, it's out of our hands, it's out of our control, and this stuff is way, way more important than football. So we just have to take it on the chin. It probably will disrupt our momentum a little bit, but that's my opinion. But I think, given the circumstances, we just got to crack on, just got to get on with it. Let's move on to our second caller of the evening. Don't forget to hit that like button if you're watching us on YouTube.
Hiya.
Good evening, mate. Welcome to the Chronicles of a Gooner. What's your name and where are you talking to us from?
Joe and Newcastle.
Welcome, Joe. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Good. Not too bad, my man. Can't complain. Everything's going on outside, but, we're safe in our home and it's not ideal, but we crack on. How are you coping with isolation, my friend?
Good. Yourself?
It gets a bit boring from time to time, but I completely get the reasons why we've been asked to do it. And therefore, I will do my utmost to make sure that we adhere to those rules. Joe, what have you made of Arsenal's season so far? Just talking to the previous caller, Ryan, about the fact that this pause has probably affected our momentum. What's your take on it? Were you feeling like Arsenal was starting to get clicking and all of a sudden we've come to this abrupt stop?
Yeah, I think that they were getting to good momentum, but I think Arteta's brilliant.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've been particularly impressed by Mikel Arteta, and as you will know, I was no fan of Unai Emery, so it's been a big change. Go ahead, mate.
Yeah, but I just think that they need, in midfield they need more creativity because, I think that the three top of same midfielders like Torreira, Guendouzi, and Xhaka.
Yep.
I just don't think there's enough creativity in that part. You know what I mean?
Who would you like to see come in then?
I'm not sure. I think that I would like Ceballos or Grealish or someone like that.
Yeah, Grealish is a fantastic player. I'd love to see him at Arsenal.
I think Ceballos is good myself.
The thing with Ceballos, though, mate, is for me, I see him as, I know that he's got that bit of flair and that bit of silk and that bit of creativity, but I see him as a deeper player. And I think that in the home games against the likes of Newcastle United, West Ham, like we've seen recently, I think you can get away with playing him and somebody because you're counting on having the majority of the possession on control in the game. But I think when you go away to the likes of Liverpool, to Manchester City, Spurs, United, Evertons of this world, even the Wolveses, the Sheffield Uniteds, I think you need a midfield that's a little bit more combative. And that's why I'm not sure that Arteta will stick with that pairing going into next season. I think he's just making good with what he has.
Yeah, I agree. I think that 100% because I think that as well as that, even though Xhaka's done well, I think that they need someone more mobile. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. What's your take on Mesut Ozil, mate? He's someone that divides opinion. There's some people that love him, and there's people that want him gone.
He's up and down, I think, because I think that when he had the Olympiacos game, he had a poor game, but then against Everton, he had a good game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very up and down, isn't it? Very up and down indeed.
Yeah, very up and down because to be honest, I saw some of the games and I thought when I saw Xhaka, Ceballos, and Ozil, I thought you need, even though Willock's not ready and stuff, I think that sometimes you need some of energy. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Joe, what's your prediction for the rest of the season when it does eventually continue? What do you think Arsenal can achieve? Is Champions League realistic?
I think maybe 6th or 7th actually, because I think that when all the teams like Sheffield United and Wolves are having good seasons and
interesting stuff. Joe, thank you so much for jumping on, mate, and I'm sure we'll catch up soon. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye. Another excellent call. That was Joe from Newcastle. Don't forget to smash that like button if you're watching us live on YouTube at the moment. If you're listening via the audio the next day, I do apologize if I keep going on about it, but it is important. It does push the video up the ranks, and the more people get to see it, the more people will come on, and the more diversity in terms of opinion we will have on the show. So I do encourage you guys to share it around, leave us your comments live while you're watching the show, interact. I'll pick some of those up for sure. And yeah, right, let's move on to the third call of the evening. Here we go.
Hello.
Good evening, mate. Welcome to the Chronicles of a Gooner. What's your name and where are we talking to you from?
Hi, mate. It's Sam from Colchester.
How you doing, Sam? Welcome back to the show, my friend. You all right?
Yeah, good man. How are you? All things considered.
Not too bad, my friend. Not too bad. Getting by.
Good stuff.
Getting by.
Good stuff.
Getting by.
That's what we like.
Exactly. How about you? How are you coping with isolation? Have you completed Netflix yet?
This is going to sound bad, isn't it? But on Sunday, I've been missing football so much. I rewatched the whole 2014 FA Cup final.
I can top that. The other night, I watched the 1979 FA Cup final.
Oh blimey! Oh, I couldn't even tell you who was in that one. That's out of my lane. Nah, fair play to you. But yeah, the emotional roller coaster brought back football, and then it was all over. I realised it was gone.
Absolutely, mate. Your take on Arsenal's season so far? We haven't done one of these shows in a long, long time, and as I said right at the top, we will be doing it more regularly once again. It's just work's been an absolute madness in a good way. I can't complain, but it's been tough to keep up with everything. But I really do enjoy doing these, and so I want to hear your views. How have Arsenal progressed under Mikel Arteta? What have you made of his tenure so far?
Well, first of all, God bless Mikel that he's doing well now. His statement the other day was very encouraging. So glad to hear that. I love him. I love Mikel. What claim is that I've always backed him as when he signed in 2011. I got his shirt, that horrible blue kit we lost 8-2 in. I have his name on the back, still in my room. Unfortunate 8 now. He's known for that 8-2 defeat, but still. Yeah, I was a bit sceptical, obviously, when he came back and his lack of experience. But he's got great ideas. He's so passionate. He's clearly getting across to the players, and the way he talks to young players, like when he's taken Reece Nelson aside, Saka, Martinelli, and Aubameyang seems to have responded to him as well. In all the pundits are like, "Oh, why is he on the left wing? Or can he do the defensive job?" But every time we've watched Aubameyang recently, he's worked his absolute arse off, probably more than anyone on the pitch. He's seen a left back half the game. I think Arteta's done wonders. Haven't got all the results. I was at the Olympiacos game. You can't fathom really what went wrong that night. It was just a mixture of everything. But apart from that blip, I would say we're doing really well. And like you said, the breaks come at the wrong time, just as we were progressing through the season.
Absolutely. But like I said as well, it's disappointing because, like I said, we picked up that momentum. It looked like we were really making good progress. But this is a circumstance like no other. This is not something we've ever had to deal with in the past. And we just kind of got to get on with it, haven't we? We can keep saying it. And, I will keep saying it because I genuinely believe that it's come at the worst possible time from Arsenal's perspective, in the sense that we were gaining confidence. We were pushing on. But we just got to deal with it, haven't we? We just got to deal with it. Wanted to ask you, mate, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, lots of speculation about his future. Talks of Man United being interested, Barcelona being interested. And I'm not talking about the talks that have come up in the last few days, because I'll be honest with you, those are just journalists with nothing to write about. And I can say that because I'm in that position where finding content on a daily basis is a struggle. When there's no football, what do you do? So I get why they're doing it. But I would just advise people to take it with a pinch of salt.
It's an easy story, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. How do you think this is going to play out? Will he sign a new deal?
A lot of it depends on, obviously, the Champions League. That's out of Arsenal's. That's out of everyone's hands. Because, like you said, ideally the season will be finished the fairest way for every team in every single division across Europe, with promotion, relegation, money, everything. But in terms of the odds of that happening, I'd say they're slimming just by the day, by the week. I think they're going to have to scrap it with all the stuff next year. With Aubameyang, then I wonder what his position is now with this virus stuff. That obviously Arsenal's results of the season are now null and void. Possibly no possible FA Cup, no charge to the top four. So I wonder if he does give it another go. Now that Arteta's in, given a full season. So I wonder if this impact, actually breaking up the season, has changed his mind. If that, it's probably a bad thing, really, saying he's only signing because of this break. But it does impact a lot. Obviously, players' contracts will expire maybe before football starts. I think it's very hard because we've seen it all before. The likes of Van Persie and other players coming out and they say all the right things, and then in the summer they're off. So it's a hard one, but I personally think he might just stay, just because of the impact of Arteta, just because of all the complications around football. No one knows what's going on. No one knows with the transfer window. Teams' money might go down for the window anyway because they'll lost a lot of TV rights. No one will be getting prize money from the leagues. So I think he might just stay. I think, though, he'll need to buck up our ideas because I think next summer he might be off if we don't improve drastically. I think he's vital to stay. He's clearly our best player. He's taken the captain's armband on brilliantly. Everyone said he's a bad example when we signed him, but I think he's risen to the challenge, really.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. And I hope that we do keep hold of him because it's not easy to replace that amount of goals, particularly when you're operating in the sort of transfer budget that we believe we're probably going to be forced to operate with.
What are you thinking about Lacazette, though, if you don't mind me asking? Because it seems like the whole Arsenal fan base turned on him.
It's not
over the last 6 months.
It's not that I've turned on him. I think that we've got a problem at the moment in the sense that Mikel Arteta is quite clear in the way that he wants to play football. We know that that's with one centre forward. I think actually that Mikel Arteta has got more out of Aubameyang because the way this system works, that left-hand side is very fluid and Aubameyang's able to drift inside often. Not marked by a centre-half. It's normally a case where the fullback has to go with him. Otherwise, and then what that does, doesn't it? It creates space for Saka on the overlap, as we've seen. So the problem is not that I don't like Lacazette; it's that I feel like right now we can only play one or the other. And for me,
I agree.
When you look at the goal records, it's no competition.
No, I think the best is having Martinelli on that left-hand side. I'm not exactly sure why he drifted out of the team over the last month or so. I don't know if it was resting him because of his heavy games before, but either way, it's all about managing him, really. I think the best is him, Pepe and Aubameyang, and pray to God that we get to see them free again because it would be, such an Arsenal thing if we wait all this time for football to come back and it comes September and Aubameyang's gone. But yeah, we can only hope.
Absolutely. My friend, thank you so much for joining me, mate. I'm going to have to move it on just because I've got a load of calls to get through, but fantastic call once again. And I'm sure we'll speak again soon, mate.
No worries. Take care, mate. Cheers.
All the best.
Bye.
Another brilliant call. Lots of great calls coming in tonight. For those of you asking in the chat how you get on the show, if you've got Twitter, you need to DM us at Chronicles_AFC with your name and telephone number. If you're contacting us from abroad, we need your Skype address instead. If you don't have Twitter, you can head over to Facebook, search the Chronicles of a Gooner. You'll find us there and you can send me a DM from there with your details. We'll get through as many of those calls as we possibly can within the hour. We're going to move on to our next one now. But yeah, don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And we'll be bringing you plenty more of these shows over the coming weeks as we look to keep ourselves sane during this really, really difficult time. Let's move on to our next caller. Here we go.
Hello, Harry. How are you?
Good evening, Fergus. How you doing, my friend? Welcome to the show.
Thank you, mate, and thanks for letting me call in and take part.
No problem. You're welcome anytime, my friend. First of all, how are you coping with quarantine at the moment? How are you coping with self-isolation?
2.5 weeks, mate. 2.5 weeks. I went to the Arsenal boardroom for a VAR discussion on the 5th of March. I went to the West Ham game and came home from the West Ham game on the Saturday and ended up in bed till Thursday.
Wow.
I've never sweated so much in my life. Don't know if I got the actual virus, but I had something. And then I had a week off last week with builders in the house. So I have not been out very much in the last 2.5 weeks. So I'm going stir bloody crazy.
I can imagine, but at least you're doing the right thing and you're making sure that, if you did have it, and fingers crossed you didn't, and I'm glad to hear that you're doing much better now, but doing the right thing is imperative.
I've done the right thing. I made sure the fridge was full of beer.
Brilliant stuff. Fergus, your thoughts on Arsenal's season so far? Do you share the view that this break, and I know I'll say it again, unprecedented circumstances, but this break has been a bit of a blow given the fact we were starting to build some confidence and some momentum?
We were building momentum, but we weren't building wins. We were building a lot of draws and not getting the 3 points. We're getting 1 point. Yes, we're unbeaten in 2020, but would that have got us into fourth place? I couldn't see us getting fourth. We're all hoping on fifth because maybe Man City might be kicked out of the Champions League and we might get into it. I'm pleased with what Arteta is doing. He's added some structure. I think the players understand what instructions they're getting, which I don't think they had understood a word. Unai, good evening, Emery at all. So I suppose I'm 50-50, Harry.
Were we not building some momentum though? Because we did win 3 back-to-back Premier League games. Newcastle, Everton, and then West Ham United. I know we had that Olympiacos result, the FA Cup one as well with Portsmouth, which was a win as well, actually, in between those. That's 4 wins out of 5.
I agreed. But did you not think, what did you hope to get on the Wednesday night against Man City, at Man City?
I was pretty confident that we could get a point. Genuinely. And I know that's not going to be a popular opinion. And I was devastated when I heard that game was called off. I know, again, the reasons completely understandable, but my word, I was going into that game actually feeling as though Arsenal could get a point, and that if there was one man that would know how that team operate inside out, we had him in our changing room. And I was pretty confident that we could get something at least.
Likewise, I thought we'd get a point at best, because I think Arteta, Man City haven't been as good since they lost Arteta, and Man City haven't been great all season. Anyhow, if Man City were halfway decent, I think they could have given Liverpool a proper run for the money, because Liverpool, although worthy champions elect, I hope they don't win it. Worthy champions elect, I think Man City have not been good title challengers. The best title challengers in the pack have been Leicester, and they're way off the pace.
Yeah, I mean, the title race is done and dusted, and I think we can look at Manchester City, we can look at Leicester, and we can say that they've not been consistent enough. But I think it's more a case here of Liverpool just being incredible. I mean, they've won, I think, 27 of their 28 games, is that right? Or 28 out of 29?
Yeah, they've lost 1 game and
drawn 1.
Yeah.
27 out of 29.
And how are you spelling that, Liverpool? Is that Liverpool or Liverpool?
Liverpool in my book, but we won't get into that. That's another debate that's ongoing. Fergus, I know you run another Arsenal podcast, which is fantastic. Take this opportunity to plug the shit out of it live on air.
Listen, I think we should plug every Arsenal podcast that's going out there. I do host Guns and Yellow Ribbons, which you can find us on Twitter at Guns and Ribbons, on Facebook, Guns and Yellow Ribbons, Instagram, etc. We're just literally 4 blokes sit down the pub, not now, but we just have a chat about football. But everything, I was on Same Old Arsenal with Potsy and yourself last night, and I failed miserably in the Arsenal quiz. And you won, didn't you, Harry?
I did.
Yes.
I don't like to brag, but I did. Yeah, I
won. and Lee Judges was not happy. He was going for all sorts of calling juries in and everything else. But everything that you, myself to a lesser degree, what Dan, what Craig, what the guys on Arsenal Bergkamp Want to Land, all the podcasts out there that are doing stuff to keep us people entertained is fantastic, and I applaud you all. And if anybody would like to join us, we will have a podcast this tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. on YouTube or Facebook. Brilliant.
Make sure you do head over and check out the Guns and Yellow Ribbons podcast. It is a really, really good show, really enjoyable, and Fergus hosts it brilliantly. Fergus, before I let you go, my friend, the Premier League season, it was suspended until the 30th of April. Given what we're seeing in the news day in, day out, given the situation and that the spread of this virus is at a point where it's out of control at the moment, can you see football resuming before the summer? Because I can't at the moment, I'll be honest.
I have to think that it can. Otherwise, I'm up the floor now. I might as well jump. I am only joking. I have to think that it will resume. I'd love Liverpool not to win the Premier League and suffer for another 30, 40, 50, 60 years. I can't stand them. But I think the right thing needs to be done by the competition. If you look at the Olympics, if you look at the Euros, if you look at everything else, has all been postponed, and the Olympics and the Euros are going to be on next year. We'll just have to delay the season to start in September, October next year, later this year, which actually, funny enough, will help for the following year when we got Qatar 2022.
It's a great point, and it's a point that a lot of people are missing. I think you're absolutely right there. I think it would almost condition the players, wouldn't it, a little bit towards that World Cup, and that's another one. And we won't go into that now, but how the World Cup is being played in the middle of a season for me is a joke. I mean, the enjoyable thing
It's
about
all
a World
about
Cup,
the money,
yeah,
money,
exactly.
money.
Exactly. But, you know, the thing I love about a World Cup is it fills up your summer, and you get to sit outside and watch it and drink cold beers and enjoy it with your friends. And it's enjoyable, but you don't really care that much as you do when Arsenal playing, so you don't get stressed. And it's just a great occasion. But to see it move to the winter, I think it's going to completely change it, and hopefully it doesn't happen too many more times in the future.
No.
Brilliant stuff.
Harry,
go ahead,
thank
mate.
you very much for giving me the opportunity to pop on and say hello and speak to your following. You're doing a great job, mate. I know it's really, really, really difficult to try and even think of topics, content. I know you write your articles and everything else, and I dock my hat to you, because you haven't actually lowered yourself to talk about white kits and transfer news.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, mate. Really, really appreciate your call, and we'll speak soon, no doubt.
Have a good evening. Stay
All the
safe,
best.
everybody.
That was the brilliant Fergus. Check out the Guns and Yellow Ribbons podcast. He does a great job over there. Guys, don't forget, if you want to get involved, all you need to do is head over to Twitter, send us a DM at Chronicles_AFC. You can see it running across the bottom of your screen. Name, telephone number. If you're contacting us from abroad, we need your name and your Skype address, and we will be getting through as many of these calls as we possibly can within the allotted time. We're going to move on to the next one now. Don't forget to smash that like button as well. That, of course, helps. If you're watching us on YouTube, here we go. Let's find the next call. Apologies. I must get faster at this. I really must. Here we go. Let's move on to the next one. Oh, it's Skype. We're going overseas. No answer there. Let's move on to the next one. Don't forget, guys, if I do call and you don't answer, I will move on to the next one, because I've got so many names, so many numbers to get through that I just have to move on. Unfortunately, I don't want to skip past people that have put their names down and want to contribute to the show, but I may have no choice if you don't answer the calls when we dial. Here we go. Let's call. Moving on to this one. It's Dan Bailey. Here we go. Apologies, we're not getting through there either. Let's move on to the next one. I normally line the next one up during the call, so I'm going to have to just bear with me for a second, guys. My apologies. Leave me your comments in the comment section. How are you enjoying the show? What is your thoughts on Mikel Arteta's season so far? Have you enjoyed it? Well, not his season, his short time in charge. Have you enjoyed what Mikel Arteta has done so far? Are you enjoying what you are seeing, and are you hopeful that he can bring Arsenal back to the top where they belong, as I'm sure we'll all agree? Let's move on to our next one. Here we go.
Hello.
Good evening, my friend. What's your name and where are you talking to us from?
Hi, Harry. It's Daniel from Exeter again. I think I've spoke to you before on your show.
How you doing, Daniel, mate? Welcome back. You all right?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Just getting through these difficult times, but keeping myself occupied.
How you coping? How you coping with it all?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad at all. Like I said, I've been just sort of watching loads of stuff on Netflix, and I've got, like I say, I've started up my own YouTube channel, so that's keeping me busy.
Brilliant. How can people find it, my friend? What's it called?
So, if anybody who's searching it, it's called The Blind Gooner. So just type that into YouTube, and it should come up. So so go and check that out. There's some great content on there. There's more content to come. So anybody searching for that, it's The Blind Gooner.
Brilliant stuff. Make sure you do that, guys. And Dan, your thoughts on Mikel Arteta's time at the helm so far? Have you been pleased with it? And what do you think needs to improve moving forward?
Do you know what? I actually think Mikel Arteta's done well. Listen, he's not had, let's be honest, he's not had the greatest of times, has he? He's come in at the back end of December. I think he came in, and we weren't in a great place. Where the players were low on confidence, the team was low on confidence. So he had to come in and just pick them up and give some of them a little shock, because I think that's what they needed. And he came in and he done that. In the first couple of games, especially against Bournemouth. And then against Chelsea, you could see vast improvements. But unfortunately, at that point, we weren't getting the results. We were seeing the performances, but not getting the results. And then we had that great performance against Man United. I know some people will argue that when we played Man United, they're not the greatest, especially back then. They weren't the greatest because they didn't have Bruno Fernandes, so they struggled quite a bit. And then we struggled a bit in January with results, getting a draw at Crystal Palace. We should have easily won that game.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we should have held on to the lead against Sheffield. And then we went, we go into, we have that great game against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, where we didn't start that game brilliantly, and then we went on and got the 2-2 draw, and then he's had a bit of a mixed February in terms of obviously we had the winter break, and we got the result against Everton, and then getting knocked out of the Europa League wasn't great.
That was the toughest part, wasn't it? For me, that was a real kick in the balls to get knocked out, particularly by, and I don't mean this disrespectfully to Olympiacos, because as most of you will know, I'm from a Greek background, so I knew exactly what they were about. I was at the game in Greece. I knew exactly what to expect from them. But they're a team, or they're a club on paper that we should be getting past, and to lose it in the way we did under those circumstances, to concede the way we did after Aubameyang had scored that wonderful goal, was just heartbreaking, wasn't it?
Do you know what? Against Everton, you could see that something was going wrong. Because, yes, we got the 3-2 win, but you could see that something wasn't quite right with some of the players. And then going into that, we done all right in the first leg. We got the goal out there. And I was in Australia at the time, so I was mad at 7 o'clock in the morning getting out to listen to that game. And I felt, I was like, oh my God, there's something not right here, because it's too easy. And it was over in Olympiacos. It felt a bit too easy, considering that every time we played Olympiacos, we've always struggled. And when we got the result, I said, right, we'll get back to the Emirates now, and it should be relatively comfortable.
Yeah.
and that was the mistake, I think, that certainly I fell into, because when we played at the Emirates, I said, right, this should be a comfortable run-of-the-mill win, and it wasn't. We just wasn't on it completely.
Would you say, Dan? Would you say that one criticism that you could maybe put Mikel Arteta's way, and I'm not in the business of criticizing Mikel Arteta because it's still early days, and I appreciate the shit show that he's taken over, but is there a case for maybe we don't have an alternative way of playing at the moment, similarly to the way we did under Arsene Wenger, and when it's not working, we don't really know how to change it, and maybe that's part of the education that Mikel Arteta as a manager still needs to go through?
I'm not entirely sure. If I'm being brutally honest, I'm not entirely. I think part of the problem is he's inherited a shit group of players, and I think he's just trying to work the best, do the best with what he's got. The only criticism that I can probably level at Mikel Arteta is that some of the players are there from his playing days, and this is not a dig at Mikel Arteta, because I think he'll do good. And listen, he's going to have teething problems as a manager because it's his first job, and it's a big job to take on for your first job. But one of the criticisms that I could possibly level at him is that it feels like sometimes he's picking his mates rather than picking players on form, and that is my.
Who are you talking about in specifically though? Because there's one player that comes to mind. Who is it that you're talking about specifically when you say he's picking his mates?
Well, I'm talking about listen, I'm going to drop a huge bombshell. Are you going
to say the O word? Are you going to say the O word?
I am going to say the O word, Harry. I've got to say the O word. I don't see what he does to warrant being in the squad. I don't get it. What apart from that game against Man United where he put in a lot of work rate, and everybody thought, great, he's doing something. He's turning a corner, but he's not. He's not turning a corner. Just because you have one good game doesn't make you suddenly a better player. And my issue is that we've had Mesut Ozil for 7 years, and he's not done anything to warrant the hype. He's not done anything, and part of my problem with certain. Listen, I don't want to dig out certain sections of the fan base because we all know that there's certain sections of the fan base that are just crazy. But the problem I've got with certain sections of this fan base is that when players have a series of good games, they think that, okay, these players have turned a corner. These players have turned a corner, so maybe we can get something more. And then we get a performance like Olympiacos, and we all
Dan, let me
back down to reality.
Sorry to cut you off there. Let me ask you then a question. Now, there's people in the comments that are saying, that I'm angry because you've said about us. I'm not angry. I'm not angry. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, and that's the whole point of this show, is to get a diverse range of opinions on it. What I would ask though to people who can't understand why Ozil's in the side is, who is the alternative? Who would you play in that number 10 position? And then I can kind of get where you're coming from, because all I hear at the moment is, we don't want Ozil in the team. We don't want Ozil in the team. But if you're relying on Joe Willock, for example, to do that job, I don't think he's capable yet. And I think the reason that Mesut Ozil is in the side so often under Mikel Arteta is because he does bring something to the table. Maybe not enough at times. I think that's a fair thing to say about him. But I just think we've got such a lack of alternatives in that specific role.
I agree with you. I agree with you that we've got a lack of alternatives. But Ozil is there as a creative midfielder. Now, what has he done over the last? What has he done over the last over the last 7 years to warrant the hype. And when he does get chances, he should be taking them. And over the last couple of games, Ozil's had a couple of chances where you're thinking, just take a shot, just have a shot. And
that I agree with you 100%.
And he doesn't, and that's what I'm saying, that he doesn't have, his output is not great for a player that's on £350,000 a week. His output should be a lot more. And that money that we're giving to Ozil, we could be giving that to Aubameyang, and it would warrant that money, giving it to him. You asked me about who's the alternatives. Well, at the moment, we haven't got an alternative. But what I would do, and listen, that Arteta's clearly wants somebody in that number 10 role that's going to put in the work rate. So this is going to probably surprise a lot of people. But what I would do is I would put Aubameyang straight through the middle.
Yep.
I would put I'd stick with Pepe on the right, and then I'll put Martinelli on the left. And then do you know what? I will put Lacazette in that number 10 role because his work rate is outstanding. And yes, I know he's a little bit out of position, but Bukayo Saka's playing out of position, and look how well he's done. So I think this season it's just a case of making the best of what you've got. But I actually think that would be far better balanced side with what I've suggested.
I'm not sure about that. I don't see it. For me, I think what Mesut Ozil brings to the table is his movement is good, and I think at times people maybe don't see that he actually creates space for others. And Frank Lampard made a really, really interesting set of comments after the game at Chelsea, where he said the most difficult thing we had was what do you do with Mesut Ozil? Do you go to the right when he goes to the right? Do you go to the left? Because he pops up on both sides all the time, and it's really, really difficult for somebody to pick him up. And what that can sometimes do is it might not necessarily lead to a direct assist or a direct goal, but it creates spaces and it creates opportunities for other people to move into different areas. And I think that's something that he brings to the table right now that maybe goes a little bit unnoticed. Dan, I'm going to have to leave it there, my friend. Just one final comment.
Can I just say this quickly?
Go ahead.
Can I just say this quickly on Mesut Ozil? And I agree with you that there's talent there, but I'm sort of the opinion that the Premier League is too fast for Mesut Ozil. I sort of think that put him in a league that's not so competitive, because when you're up at, say, like a Stoke or a Sheffield, that's when Mesut Ozil struggles, is that with those physical teams that are just going to bully you.
But doesn't that say a lot about the rest of our team? Because there are other teams with flair players like Mesut Ozil who don't get bullied because the rest of the team compensate for that. Isn't that a problem that we have as an 11 rather than just one man?
I think it's a problem we've got in our whole midfield. I think our midfield is weak, and I know a lot of people are going to look at the defense, and yes, our defense could be better, and we could have better players, but also in the midfield, we have to look at that it's not as strong. It's not a strong midfield at all, and I think that we've got to start looking at players, and now you've seen it when Torreira's been out the side. We've lacked that physical, because he is the only physical midfielder that we've got that's prepared to throw himself about and get stuck into tackles and stand up to those physical teams. So I think we have to look at the midfield as a whole, rather than just going, our defense is crap. Because yes, our defense is crap, but the midfield protect the defense. And if the midfield aren't doing their jobs, then our defense is going to get more exposed. Absolutely. And that's what we're seeing.
Absolutely. Great points, Dan. Thank you so much for your time and for getting involved in the show. Really, really appreciate it. And it's been a great debate. And I look forward to speaking to you again soon. People, check out the channel as well.
No problem,
The Blind Gooner. Make sure you check it out, guys. Thank you very much, Dan. Cheers. That was Dan. Some of you may recognize Dan actually from AFTV. He's got his own channel now, The Blind Gooner, so do check that out as well. Let's move on to, I think we can squeeze one more in. What do you reckon? I think we can squeeze another call in before we wrap it up. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I'm just getting the next caller. Here we go. Nope, that's not going through. Let's move on to one more then. I think we can squeeze one more on before we finish up here this evening. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Let me know in the comments if you have. Is the audio all okay from you guys' end? Because obviously I can't hear what is coming out of there. So I rely on you guys and your live feedback to know whether it's all good or not. Let's move on to this final call. Good evening. Welcome to the Chronicles of a Gooner, my friend. What's your name and where are you talking to us from?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Hello?
Hello,
Yeah, how you doing, Harry?
I'm good, my friend. What's your name and where are you talking to us from?
Yes, my name is Wasiu, calling all the way from Dallas.
From where, sorry, my friend?
Dallas.
Dallas, Texas. Welcome, mate. How you doing? What time is it over there?
I'm all right. I think we're, there's I think 5 to 4, that's like 3:55. Yeah.
Okay. How's it all going over there, my friend?
Yeah, it's everything's crazy right now. With stay at home, but I have to come to we're working and the weather's great down here. Is like 80 something, pretty much. It's just kind of like calm. Everywhere is kind of like staying home. Everybody's
being careful.
Yes. Yeah.
Good stuff, my friend. What have you made of Mikel Arteta's time at Arsenal so far? I don't think we've done one of these shows since he took over, actually.
Yeah, we've not done this forever because I know I've been on the show like twice. Mikel has been, I guess, it's pretty much aftermath of Unai going, because it has changed something. Like, I don't know. I used to, like want to see Arsenal games for like 2-3 years now. We just like thinking, okay, maybe we're gonna win, maybe we're gonna play well, maybe we're gonna do this better. But it's just like something constant, and you could see the belief from the players. We're not there yet. Probably it's gonna take a couple of windows, maybe like 2, just to get whatever he's trying to do. But he's going there, and he will surely get there. He's going there. There's, I believe, and I know we're gonna get there.
What do you think is going to happen with the Premier League season, my friend? Do you think it will continue? Do you think that it will be finished within a reasonable amount of time, or are we in a situation where we might have to consider scrapping the whole thing?
I don't like a life without football is like no life. So I think from what Clark, because I listened to the program the other day, from what Adrian Clark said, going by what is happening, we are not going to say, okay, let's just make it void. No, they should go back. If it's going to take 2 months, if it's going to take 3 months, if we're going to go back and start the remaining of the league in August, they should do it. If it's going to be behind closed doors, everybody just play. We could start the next season by December. It's going to affect a lot of people, which he has already done, but we just have to do what we have to do. Liverpool is on top. We can't make it void. They've not won the leagues forever. Probably we might be okay with it, but they have to finish the league. If they have to start in August, if they have to start in September, just to get it done.
The problem is, though, my friend, the problem is that what they've done is, by postponing things, though, they've just loaded up next year. So it's going to be really difficult now to, if we do have a significant delay, it's about finding a way of cramming everything in and making sure that it's done in the best possible way, not to affect the Euros, for example, which is now going to be held next summer. My friend, just one final point, and I'm really sorry to have to cut it short. It's just because at the time, and we are coming towards the end of the show. But what's your prediction for the rest of the season when it does resume, or if it resumes? How do you think Arsenal will fare, and where do you think is a realistic position for Arteta to be aiming at?
To be realistic, I think this season for us, we might not go to the Champions League. It's just that's just a fact. But with the way everybody's dropping points, both left and there, if we could just get like a constant run, like we win like 4 or 5 matches, we might be in the mist. In the probably, get up to 5th. But it's better off just to just like close our mind. This season is gone. I know it's gonna affect us financially, but we have to just know we might not get it. So next season, then we'll start. Probably we'll have to add a couple of new players. Then we'll get there. But we have just to be playing, and we could be hopeful. But realistically, it's better just to close it up to next season.
Absolutely. Well, Wasu, thank you so much for your call, my friend. I hope you're staying safe, and everybody is over there as well. And we'll be
same to you too.
We'll be back with another phone in soon, and I'm sure we'll speak to you then again. Thank you.
No problem. Take care.
Cheers, mate. All the best. That was Wasu calling from Dallas in Texas. My God, that's a long way away. Right, that brings us to the end of this week's edition of the Phone In. Like I said, we'll be doing these far more regularly than we have been over the last few months. I hope you've all enjoyed it. Thank you for staying with us for as long as you have. The hour has absolutely flown by. So yeah, thank you so much. Subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment. You know the drill by now. If you haven't already and you listen to us via the audio, make sure you leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. That is so important. Check out some of last week's content where we did some individual player reviews, including Alex Lacazette, Granit Xhaka, and Ainsley Maitland-Niles, I believe. We're bringing you some more of those this week. Also, the interview with Adrian Clark was great fun and a great listen, so check that out as well. And, of course, I spoke to Terry Phelan as well, a former Republic of Ireland international, former Leeds, Man City, Everton, Sheffield United, Chelsea. So that was a good one as well. So check that out too. We're going to continue to bring you as much good quality content as we possibly can, given the circumstances at the moment. We're not going to resort to talking about bullshit transfer rumors because let's face it, the world is in lockdown. Nobody's negotiating their transfers. We're not going to talk about kits, as Fergus said earlier on, because none of that matters. We're going to be looking back on the season so far. We're going to be reviewing players individually, but we're also going to be looking at some Arsenal classics over the coming weeks as well. So we're going to call it Arsenal Gold, and we're going to be going back and taking you through some of the greatest games in Arsenal's history. So I look forward to putting those together as well. Thank you once again for tuning in, and we'll be back very, very soon with more, I'm sure. Until then, take care of yourselves. Stay the fuck home. And fingers crossed, life will be back to normal ASAP. Until then, ciao.